We make the technology. We don't exactly know how it works. It's more magic than technology.
No, you can go ahead.
Buzz magic. So, chat. Since we were talking about Child's Play, and Kristen is also here now. Does anybody have Child's Play related questions for us?
I'll even sit over here with Creepy Doll.
Yay!
If you would like to speak to both of us.
Okay.
And if you don't know who I am, I'm her lesser half. I'm Kristen Lindsay, the Foundation Coordinator for Child's Play.
Yay.
And I work with Jamie, doing what we do.
It is awesome. And somebody asked how nervous I was. I usually am nervous in front of cameras, but if I'm talking about Child's Play, I'm really not nervous in front of cameras because it's a really easy cause to be enthusiastic about, so it's not quite as scary as one might usually be.
Fenrir was asking if there's any Child's Play hospitals in the UK. Yes, there are. You can look on our map at childsplaycharity.org. There are 4, I believe, across the country in the UK. And we also just added one to Ireland this year, which I think is
super cool.
Yeah, super cool. We've been trying to expand in there a while. So yeah, I can see that there's a lot of questions about Child's Play in the UK. And yeah, if you go on our map, you'll see them there. And you can donate right to the hospital that's closest to you. Do we, Child's Play ladies, do we help out hospitals for the physically ill or also donate to psychiatric hospitals? Jamie mentioned pediatric hospitals. We sort of focus on that, and of course they will help the gamut. A pediatric hospital is doing all kinds of different medicine there. We also will support smaller projects and clinics and things like that through a grant program. So usually if it's like a psychiatric clinic, like a smaller mental health facility, they'll go through our grant program.
Yep. I saw a really great question that went by, what's your most commonly donated item? That is...
Now, an iPad is the most useful thing right now.
An iPad is the highest demand, and an iPad is especially awesome because usually with our big bulk donations, like Desert Bus and some of those funds, we go to buying the iPads, and then they're able to make their money go really far in terms of the apps that they can get on the iPads for the kids. So that's a really exciting new technology, new-ish technology that the hospitals are excited about. Somebody asked how much goes to the kids. We usually have under a 7%, about a 5 to 7% administrative cost, and that's shipping everything
mostly.
Yeah,
you guys would not believe the postage.
Yeah.
Well,
you guys would believe the postage. Yeah. We're really proud of our overhead. Our overhead historically has been around 5%, and it's only Jamie and I. Like you're looking at it. Yes. We are the entire staff of Child's Play is right here, and we work really hard to try and get the maximum amount of every dollar to direct to the hospital.
Somebody asked, what made you decide to branch out to domestic violence family crisis shelters, which is an awesome question, and it's a new thing, so I'm going to, for those who might not have heard about it yet, this is Child's Play's 10th year. We're actually 2 days away, I think, from the exact 10th year, 3 days from our 10-year anniversary. And so this, a couple of years ago, we started to think, okay, the donations have been continuing to rise. We're not, we're always a little worried that one year it's just going to tank for whatever reason. But we felt confident enough that we could expand. And domestic violence centers are a really natural expansion for us. Because essentially what our goal is to help traumatized kids be able to be kids, not have to focus on whatever they're going through at the time. They're going through very mature, challenging experiences, and just like in the hospitals where they're potentially in pain, they're in an unfamiliar environment, they're scared, their parents might not be around, it's a very traumatizing event. And so the domestic violence shelters was actually a very natural progression of what we do. And so we have 10 facilities in our pilot program that we're working with right now, and there's a post on our website. If you go to childsplaycharity.org, it's one news post ago, but we have created these really cool game carts that get sent to domestic violence centers, advocacy centers, etc., that allow them to play games. So that's our newest initiative and kind of our 10th year anniversary celebration, way to spread out further. And Akri, thank you for linking that in chat. There is a specific process that you can go through if you would like your local facility to be involved with Child's Play. Essentially, it is talk to them about Child's Play and then send them to Kristen.
Yeah, the information about, there's a lot of commonly asked questions coming up in chat, things like how do I get my local hospital involved? You know, is there a hospital in X city? Those answers you can find on our website and on our FAQ at childsplaycharity.org. So if you have questions about just the operations of Child's Play, check out the website first. It's been linked a couple of times there, and you can probably find those operation answers on the website.
So is the idea with these carts that you're building, is it's sort of a turnkey solution for
Absolutely.
It's a
these places?
standalone. The hospitals have a little more infrastructure in place. There's usually TVs already in every room, just by the way that they're built these days. The domestic violence shelters don't have the same sort of community support. They get a lot of support for the parents. That's where they send most of their funds and their efforts, but the people working there try really hard to make sure that the kids aren't sort of the forgotten victims of whatever has happened. And so for us, we really wanted to just be able to say, here is this game cart. It has the Xbox, it has the TV, it has games, it has everything that you need. Use it to help these kids.
You have to imagine in these scenarios where you have a parent with their children leaving an abusive situation, they're often coming with absolutely nothing, just the clothes on their back and their kids. There potentially can be the police involved, lawyers, doctors if there's been abuse. The parent is going to sort of get absorbed into this swirling, chaotic bureaucracy right off the bat, and the kids are just sort of left in the living room.
Right.
Playing with one of those metal beads.
Playing with one of those bead things, right? There's a lot going on at a very heightened emotional level for the parent. So the kids can be really, just left out, like she said, the forgotten victims. It's sort of like when we think about the kids in the hospital, with the toys that we donate that go to the children's hospitals. It's not always the pediatric patients using our items. If your brother had leukemia and was in the hospital getting chemotherapy when you were a kid, a lot of times you would probably be dragged along. You would be sitting in the waiting room. You'd be sitting in one of those common rooms while everyone ran around and worried about your brother, because that's the priority at that moment. But you're still there, you're alone and bored, and you need something to do, so you might be the one using that gaming equipment, not necessarily your brother, but you. So it's sort of like that for the domestic violence shelters, except all of the kids are in that situation. Their parent has been removed to deal with more important matters, but someone still needs to look after the kids. So having something that was a really simple solution, a turnkey solution, was important, because it just needs to be plug it in and go, and just have a way to kind of pass that time without being sucked into the trauma that's going on.
We've had a lot of good questions go by. I want to talk about Jim Rabbit's question. It says, have you heard any negative feedback in the vein of wouldn't medical equipment help them more, and how have you responded to it? We absolutely have. And really the core of that is the hospitals have a budget every year, and all of their budget basically goes to medical supplies. So they don't have any left over in terms of making the kids happy, making the kids comfortable. And we get tons of feedback from doctors, from child life pediatricians that say this makes a huge difference for the kid. But we also know that games make a medical difference too. It might not be an IV, but kids who are able to play a DS or have a distracting video game in their hands while they're receiving a painful treatment request less painkillers. They report feeling less pain because their mind is engaged in a way that they are comfortable. They're not thinking, I'm so miserable, I'm in so much pain, I'm so scared. They're thinking, I can totally beat this level of Mario. And that's a really real, tangible impact that the stuff that you guys donate for has. It's not just, we want them to be happy, it helps them be more compliant with their child life officers, it helps them be more comfortable, and it lets them be kids for a while. So
any child health practitioner will give you the phrase "the power of play," and it's a mantra for them, and it really is. It's been scientifically proven. It's a statistical fact. You can go on the internet and look at studies. Children who play are healthier and recover faster. It's just the way it is. So we are kind of it is medical equipment in some ways.
Yeah, in a way. JKEFKA. I don't know how to pronounce your chat name.
Jay Kefka?
Will you tweet that book name to me at Calamity Jamie? Because I would love to read that book.
A book called Persuasion and Healing, which he says is a piece of academic literature on the impact of mental well-being on medical recovery. And it is a reality. Every single practitioner we talk to, and we do talk to a lot of them. There's a whole field which is called child life in North America, and they tend to call it play therapy in the UK and Australia. But these are trained professionals who have degrees in how to play beneficially with children, and this is the equipment that they use. These are the tools of their trade, and they're the ones that we communicate with directly in both selecting the equipment and getting it to them. They're the ones who use the donations that you provide.
So there's a question on appropriate games for hospitals. We donate E10 plus and below, unless a hospital specifically requests teen, or we don't even do
there's no
games.
option
There's
for higher than teen, but they do a survey.
Yeah,
we send them out a survey that says, do you want us to consider teen games? Do you have any specific teen game requests? Because we originally, and that's only something we've done in the last couple of years. Originally it was just strict E10 and under, just to take the pressure off, the responsibility off the hospital of worrying about the question of whether this game was appropriate or not. And then things like Rock Band, which are great for kids because they're interactive and they get them up and they get them moving. But because of the lyrics of the songs are rated teen, so
even though it's stuff you would hear on the radio.
Yeah, you'd hear it on the radio, but it just is. So that was sort of the first thing where we were thinking, do we make an exception for this? And then, of course, it was like, well, why don't we actually ask the hospitals?
Well, and something that's really interesting is that pediatric facilities, a lot of times we're thinking for the kids, but kids, under their definition, can be from birth to age 18 and even
sometimes even
20, 21.
Yeah, if you're like a cardiac patient who's been receiving treatment at the Children's Hospital your entire life, you're going to keep going there even well into your 20s. We learned.
Yeah.
And some of the stories from there are kind of funny because they're like, yeah, we go in and we get the Mickey Mouse patient clothes on.
Yeah, they get the little
sitting in the tiny chairs.
The cool thing is that a game like Scribblenauts is something that I play, and a game, a Mario game is something that is just totally. It crosses all age lines, and so for the hospitals that do accept teen games, we obviously try to keep in mind appropriate. But at the same time, for all of our facilities, we don't want to be getting the cheapest games we can find. We want to be getting the games where if a kid has to be in the hospital for a week and they go back to school and they tell their friends, oh man, I got to play Lego Lord of the Rings. And all of their friends are like, oh, that's so cool, I played that game. Like, that reconnects them with their world socially. And along the same vein, in talking about siblings, there are even times where they play games together. And so it allows them to go outside of their minds, go outside of their hospital room, and really interact with the world.
One of the things that I like, it's one of the things that I hope that we can do, with Desert Bus and stuff like that is, like we did an auction yesterday or a giveaway for a whole set of Resident Evil stuff, right? But through the alchemy of Desert Bus, we can kind of turn these. Turn games that may not be appropriate for children that can't be donated directly to the hospital.
It's the perfect solution.
Into money that can then be used to.
Yeah, exactly. It's transmutation, with those things that I might be interested in, but that isn't appropriate to necessarily to send to a pediatric hospital, but I can, get it through something like Desert Bus, and then it sort of doubles the money and everybody's really happy about that. So yeah, it works really well.
Game laundering, yes.
Yeah, game laundering.
It's basically what we're
Hey
doing.
man, take this mature title. Here you go. The Child's Play dinner is going to be on December 5th, Thursday, December 5th. Tickets are currently on sale. Do we have any left? We're close.
We do. We're close to selling out. We're kind of at the place where I'm just kind of putting more tables in there.
Yeah. So
Sort of
if you
sticking
do
it on
want
the
to
end.
go to, we do our charity dinner auction every year, and it's a lot of fun. And some of those things, like you were talking about, items that are not appropriate to send right to the hospitals, but that are really cool. We'll have a lot of those types of things there too. And we just lost our chat.
Yeah, no, that's I assume just went to sleep.
Okay. But we'll have stuff like that at the dinner auction. So if you're interested in that, it's going to be in Bellevue again this year at the Maiden Bower, and tickets will sell out fairly soon because we're kind of cramming people in now. We'll all be there.
We would never send Desert Bus to the children. We're trying to make them happy.
Yeah.
Now that they have iPads.
Yeah, that's true. They could.
So some people are asking about used games because traditionally we weren't able to send used games to the hospitals. They weren't able to sanitize them properly in order to make sure the kids weren't going to catch anything. We're still trying to figure out how feasible it is to send those to the shelters. But if you email me and include what games that you want to donate, that would be really, really helpful, because it's a question of, if I get a huge volume of games, am I going to be spending all my time sorting games instead of finding new shelters to help or whatever? So it's kind of a balance, but I definitely want to consider it because I know there are tons of people who want to donate used items.
Right now, if you go to the FAQ on childsplaycharity.org, we actually have a list of alternate video game charities. I think there's 3 of them there, 3 programs that we know the people there really well, and they do really great work. So we have some alternatives. If you've got some, just a few games and an old console that you would really like to make a difference with, you can contact those 3 charities, one of them, and they would be thrilled with the donation of used equipment. So right now, that's what's on the FAQ now.
Yeah, that's the current. We're
system.
still sort of. I mean, this is entirely new world for us in terms of the domestic violence centers. The hospitals are. I don't want to say cookie cutter, but they all, just by nature of what they are, have to be pretty similar. Whereas for the domestic violence centers, we help advocacy programs. So when a parent has to go speak with a lawyer or speak with a counselor, we will put a game cart in the lobby of that location to help the kids not be worried about what their parents are going through. Which we also donate to what people kind of traditionally think as domestic violence shelters, short-term and long-term housing options. And the carts are on wheels, so they'll be able to roll them into rooms and give everybody time on those. So
I'd like to, a couple of questions have kind of touched on this, and I thought it would be helpful to go through what happens to cash donations, because that's, if you go to our website, you can go through Amazon and send equipment that the hospital specifically requested. But for something like Desert Bus, where you're donating money, what happens to that money? And that's a really good question. The money we receive every year is used in a number of different ways. Things like supporting the new domestic violence shelter is, obviously that's going to be used for that. We also have a grant program that we run where facilities and programs can contact us for information on that. And then we do, once a year, the mother of all shopping trips, which is one of my favorite things to do every year, where we will take a bulk, a number of whatever the budget is for that year that we've taken out everything else. We've set aside money for the grants, and we've set aside money for the other programs. And we do a big purchase order with a distributor, so we're getting everything at wholesale prices. And this year, I actually had a young man come into my office and help me. He's a 12-year-old who had been doing a fundraiser for Child's Play, and he'd done this whole big semester-long project on it. And I thought it would be a lot of fun for him to come in and sort of get a feeling for how each dollar that you guys have donated goes directly towards something that might be appealing to someone of his age and his generation. So I spent I spent about a third of the budget before he arrived, just getting some of the stuff that like the consoles and the iPads and things that are like the hardware. But then I just let him go crazy with the rest of it, and he spent the whole day there. And he was, can I get this? And can I get that? And my sister would really love this, and all my friends play that. And it was so much fun. And I really had a great time that year with my buddy Aaron from Vancouver, who came and helped me spend a lot of money with our purchase order, and that was a lot of fun. So this year I got some age appropriate help for spending all that money. An advisor. That's right.
So I mean, that's actually a good point. Like with the bulk purchasing and wholesale distributing and stuff. Does it actually make more sense, rather than buying a $60 game and sending it to you? Does it make more sense for them to actually send you the money directly? It really depends.
We have some donors who there is one game that is specifically meaningful to them. Maybe, we've had people say, well, when I was a kid, I played Mario on an NES, and when I was in the hospital, and I want to pass that along. So they'll specifically want to donate something through Amazon that speaks to them. If you don't see something that you're interested in donating on your hospital's wish list, email us, and there's a good chance we can put it on. We've added Lego sets, we've added specific games that weren't available to wish lists specifically for one person to provide, so we can do that. Some people wonder, well, is it a good idea to go through Amazon? Because obviously Amazon is going to take their cut. However, I should point out, Amazon, we're Amazon Associates. It's like an affiliate referral program through Amazon. We actually get a very generous referral fee for things that are purchased through Amazon. So that money actually comes right back into the program. So for people who worry, well, I don't want to go through a retailer, they're actually not making anything off of those purchases. They pretty much give us back.
They give us the referral money.
They give us the referral money, and it's a good chunk that, like, I think compared to a lot of referral, it's like 10 to 15% depending on the item. So,
and that also applies. This is a fun trick.
I love this trick.
You can go to our website, click on an Amazon wish list.
Any list.
Any of the lists.
Anyone.
And then you don't have to buy anything off that list. You can do your own
shopping.
Amazon shopping.
Just go off of that page, do all of your own Amazon
shopping.
shopping.
As long as it came from
as
our
long
link,
as it came through our link.
We will still get a referral for it. So if you guys do all your holiday shopping on Amazon, you can click through. And there's now smile.amazon.com, which is a new program, thanks Fisherman, where if you essentially link your Amazon account, you say, I always want to send a percentage of my purchase to Child's Play. That works too. Yep. It's a much smaller percentage than the referral program, but it's also a little bit easier.
And if you're doing your shopping anyway, it works out really well. So I mean, for anyone who's concerned about donating through Amazon, just because that retail connection kind of irks you a little, it actually isn't as bad as it sort of initially seems.
We get a pretty decent kickback.
Yeah, they do give us that money, so we don't worry so much about that aspect of it. And of course, if you're donating through PayPal and things like that, there's going to be fees there too. It's a very small amount, so it doesn't really make a difference in terms of efficacy if you go through Amazon or if you go through PayPal or whatever. It's whatever fits what you want to do. Donating through Desert Bus, obviously, and then getting some pretty sweet prizes and rewards and embarrassments for you guys through that might also appeal.
So we've had a giveaway that has ended a while ago that we should probably do.
And the art challenge has about 9 more minutes, 10 minutes left. So send that to contest@desertbus.org if you've got that done.
Yeah, let's wrap that giveaway up and let's show off another
In fact, we could probably just immediately go into another giveaway.
Yeah, we've also got at least one more call-in during Tally's shift and some live auctions and whatnot. So we've actually got to start motoring through these giveaways.
Yeah,
it's been a busy morning.
We love all these people calling in, but you guys stop donating because you're listening to them.
No.
Keep donating.
Keep donating.
They say interesting things and you want to hear the interesting things. It's terrible.
Alright, so this is the Felted Star Wars Gnome set.
That's right.
And that went from 10:53 to 11:30.
Tally, is this one you want to show?
Till noon, actually. Yeah,
Oh,
I'm thinking, yeah.
We extended that till noon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tally, the interview shift.
Do you have one of your big items, Tally?
Pardon me?
Do you have one of your big items?
Yes, I do.
Alright, so let me...
You want to show off both of these?
Could I get a
Sure.
prize person down
Just for
here?
the purposes of showing,
Showing them off? Sure.
Search is on its way, thank you.
Maybe you can like set up times for both of them so that everyone knows
Mm-hmm.
when.
Yay, Mother Chaos! Thank you very much. Mother Chaos just went and set up Amazon for Smile. I'm guessing that's pretty rad.
Tell me when
The
they
Duck
are.
Lord, humorously enough, with the game carts that we have manufactured for the domestic violence shelters, they do come with silica gel packets.
There you go.
So
See,
tie-in.
silica gel to the kids.
Got lots of silica gel.
All right.
What are we drawing?
We are drawing number 28.
Yeah, and that program again, smile.amazon.com, shockingly simple to use, says C.
Star Wars
Dudson.
gnome set?
And
is
that
that.
is it is. It's a great way if you do any purchasing through Amazon on a regular
Yeah.
basis. That's a pretty
And who
awesome
doesn't?
program. And who doesn't? I mean, come on, it's Amazon. They're great. Unless you're in Canada.
I was just gonna say, unless you're in Canada, it's not that
This
good.
is a donation drop?
But you know what, guys? Hey, if you are Canadian,
$6.54.
about half the stuff on Amazon, like if it ships from Amazon.com directly, they do international shipping.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
you can sometimes you luck out. If it's a third-party person, you never know. It's a crapshoot.